Mike Bedenbaugh, Executive Director of the Palmetto Trust for Historic Preservation, first came to Daufuskie Island several years ago. He marveled at how unique and authentic this island off of Hilton Head seemed to be.
Daufuskie is a very special place where it still retains a lot of its historic architecture that in a lot of the islands where bridges have connected and so much development has wiped out a lot of the indigenous history that was there. Well, Daufuskie does not have a bridge, and so it has curbed the type of development that would just come in and develop all over the island. So there's still pockets on the island that these historic structures are still here, and we saw a tremendous need to intervene because for Daufuskie to tell its story, these places have to be intact.
These places, Gullah homes, are slowly becoming a thing of the past, but they're very important to the history of this island.
They're special and they're unique in their own way. They're small, but they're compact, but they're complete. Everything's in there that you need to live.
The Palmetto Trust went on a mission to salvage these historically significant homes. A leading organization known as the 1772 Foundation stepped in to help with the funding.
We wanted to come up with something that would not push them to have to give up ownership of the land. So we developed a leasing system to where we would lease the property. They have full access to it within the confines of the lease. We would invest in the property to restore it, and then as a way to revolve the money back out, besides attracting philanthropy to donate to the cause, but make it a heritage tourism site where someone could come to Daufuskie and enjoy it on the ground in a Gullah house with a history, with the place. And I think that just would resonate to a lot of folks who would want to come to Daufuskie and experience that. As we were looking through and looking for places and learning the landscape here, and learning the people, and meeting the people, and trying to become part of the community and the conversation here, it became very quickly evident that Miss Frances Jones was a very important person in the history of Daufuskie. She was a school teacher for 39 years. She was a leader in the community when it came to voting rights, when it came to property rights. During the 1980s, she was routinely called the mayor of Daufuskie because of her advocacy and speaking up on behalf of Daufuskie residents, even when she was retired.
Mike knew that some would have doubts about the project, but he had a very important ally with Yvonne.
I was one of the first ones that Mike talked to, and I encouraged him a lot. And so Miss Frances was very important to us, and to see that Mike had the means of helping us out with keeping this house going, it was very important. Miss Frances was like a second mother to me. I started school in the second grade with Miss Frances as my teacher, and she taught me everything that I know. She used to bring me to her house, and I used to spend nights with her, you know. She was a very important factor in my life and everybody who ever lived on Daufuskie too.
Her work extended from the classroom and went all across Daufuskie.
Well, not only was she a teacher, and like I say, a second mom, but she used to do book work for the people in the community. She used to write letters for them. She used to help them out with any type of economic thing that they might have, like taxes. She would fill out the forms. She kind of carried through. Even when she wasn't teaching, she came back and she did things. As a matter of fact, at one time, this used to be the post office.
This 900-square-foot house had been empty for 15 years, and because of weather, the house needed a lot of work. But through this work, history was unveiled.
One of the things that becomes evident when you're working on these places, when you're uncovering the story, is the house really speaks to you as you uncover the layers of it. And everything had shown that this house was built in 1890. However, while we took out that plywood and took off the sheetrock, we discovered inside what we believed to be an 1865 structure with old original hand-hewed beams and boards. And so we saw, wow, this story goes deeper than we thought. We've come to realize that we believe that was a house built by Miss Frances's great-grandmother when freedom came in 1865 and they moved from St. Simon's to here. We also uncovered behind the sheetrock how all of this house was really salvaged from other things. That original 1865 structure, they salvaged probably from one of the wooden slave cabins at the plantation here and built a similar type structure. And then all the studs had the plaster lath marks to show they came from a house inside Savannah. And as houses were being demolished in Savannah, they would recycle those materials and come here and sell them and build houses out of them. So it's all those elements of self-sufficiency and everything that helps enrich the story what this house is.
We need to keep these buildings going. We need to cultivate our culture and try to keep as much as we can to commemorate our older people that passed before us.
And there will always be people interested in this island and coming to this island. There's a lot of tourists now interested in these leftover places, you know, and secret places. And they get a lot of pleasure out of seeing how people lived, and that's important. It should be preserved and remembered.
We see historic properties as assets to the communities in which they are, because when you have the built traditions, it creates a foundation for the story of those who helped build the community. And when those houses, those structures, those buildings are there, in whatever community it is, there's a touchstone there that keeps those stories alive and helps the community communicate its special uniqueness out to anyone who visits.